Welcome to part 2 of our engine stand build. I got some of the parts came in the mail. So first things first, I need to drill with our stepping bit a hole into our piece of steel for our bolts that go to our risers, and then our bars are going to go into those risers. So like I said, just going to go ahead and knock these holes out real quick. So our bolts that come out of our risers, they're kind of weird. They're 12 mil bolts, but the head on them's too small. So if you go to the hardware store and try to find 12 mil bolts, the head will be too big to get locked into the riser, which is weird. So I had to use these bolts. I cut them down, but the unthreaded shank is still too long. So I just found some nuts and drilled them out. So there's no threads. And that'll fit over that. And then the actual bolt or lock nut that comes with it will have something to push up against and tighten it up. We got our bars tightened down. The spacing is pretty narrow, but since this is just an engine test stand, it doesn't matter. I definitely wouldn't mount bars like that on a bike, but in this case I think we'll be fine. So now our bars are on and tightened down. I need to kind of straighten out this thumb throttle. It's twisted for some reason, and need to mount our switch on this side of the bar, our electric start button and our run stop button. So just going to unscrew the two pieces of this and put it on our bars and tighten it down. Bars are on. I swapped the switch over, the one we modified without the light control, and got our thumb throttle run and turned to where it needs to be. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've started going through and kind of roughly hooking up all the wiring. We've got our cable from our thumb throttle running to a spare carb I had. I got tired of waiting for the delivery. And what I've done is, because this starter is bad, I'm also waiting on that, I took my drill with a 14 mil socket through the stator cover and turned the motor over just enough to see if we were getting spark, and we were. And then I grounded the wire that I thought was the kill switch wire, and we lost spark. Disconnected it from ground, we gained spark back. So now what I need to do is finish soldering all these wires, and then we're going to clean it up, heat shrink everything, and wrap it in electrical tape or maybe some split loom or something, just to keep it clean, because we don't want our wiring getting stuck in our sprocket or getting pinched somewhere and then having to redo it all. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and our delivery is scheduled for today. Hopefully we'll get our starter and stuff, and maybe we can throw some fuel in this thing and see if she'll fire up. And I really need to clean the table up. It is an absolute disaster trying to build stuff while you're getting the garage built out and organized. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, we're gonna get the stuff all soldered up and make the best of what little bit of room we have. So Amazon just made our delivery. Hopefully everything's in here. I'm going to open this up and check, but it should have our starter and maybe one or two other things that we need to finish this off. The rest is for a different bike. But let me show you where we're at so far. So we've got our CDI attached. I do believe that this might be bad. Just drill the hole, 2 holes actually, to kind of loop around and hold it in with a zip tie. Didn't want anything permanent. Everything's sleeved, taped. Our voltage regulator, our coil, our quick disconnects for the motors. So whenever we swap a motor out, we just remove these 4 connections. 1, 2, 3, 5 connections, and then there's a ground that I actually ground on the motor itself, and this is our neutral switch, which we're not going to be worried about. Battery stays in the stand, and we've got our starter relay. Again, just pop the hole in it and zip tied in place. Left the wires nice and long just in case we have to move anything. Zip tied our switch wires to the handlebars, throttles there, our run kill switch, start switch, which you can hear the solenoid taking off, but that starter will not turn no matter what I do. And we've got our throttle, which is hooked up to our carb. The only thing we really don't have is an exhaust, and once we know that all this works and that this motor will actually start the fire, it'll be loud, but we'll fire it up, and then I've started cutting that manifold that I showed you before. We'll get that welded together as one piece, and show you the final product, and hopefully we can get it running. So we did get our new starter from Amazon, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this bad one, and yeah, fingers crossed. Well, you heard it. Put a little gas in the carb. I need to come up with some sort of tank to hang from the ceiling. And put some gas in it. And as you saw, I had to bypass the starter solenoid. Didn't know what was going on. But apparently, this wire doesn't actually make contact. Because if I take the 12 volts, and you can see that wire runs all the way down to here. If I touch this lug, it should kick over. We get nothing. But up here, we do. So there's got to be some sort of break or something in that cable. So I'll have to fix that, and then weld up our exhaust, and somehow or another get more gas in this thing. So alright, I'm going to do that and bring you back. well, I'd say that works. So this concludes our buildup of our engine stand, and yeah, not really sure there's much else to say, but other than some scrap and some time, it doesn't take much to put one of these together. So even if you don't want to build one that you can run the motor in on, you can still, with just a few scraps, build a stand that you can work on the motors in. And it's even easier if the motors you're working on are just kickstart only and don't have the stator and charging circuit that you have to worry about wiring in and all that. Now I may later on, and if I do, I'll post pictures on Instagram and Facebook, so make sure that you follow us on our social media. All that's linked below. But I may add like a voltmeter just to make sure that when we throw a motor in here that the charging system's working. And I may throw a tack on here too, just so that we can, if there's a break-in procedure for a cam or a big bore kit or something, we got to hold it at 1,000 RPM for 10 minutes or whatever the case may be, then we can watch that, and it might help us with some tuning on carbs and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's it. That is our engine stand with startup features. So until next time, guys, get out there and do it.